Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a really specific date here, September 25, 2025.
Right. A day where political theater sort of jumped off the campaign stage and landed right inside the White House itself.
Yeah, exactly. And it made this, well, incredibly dramatic statement. Our sources, the ones you sent in, they detail this new installation inside the West Wing.
Mm-hmm.
A future President Donald Trump apparently called the Walk of Fame. Now, you hear that name, and it sounds maybe celebratory, like honoring history or something.
Sure, it has that connotation.
But the actual display, well, it seems it was pure political combat. We're focusing on one specific kind of jaw-dropping detail.
The substitution.
The substitution.
Right.
The official spot where you'd expect to see a rival president's portrait.
It was empty.
It was filled with a photograph of a machine.
And that's our mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To really distill the facts around this whole thing. The installation itself, that very specific visual choice, and the political claims that, gave it all its power. It's about understanding the thinking behind using the White House, the actual building, as a stage for this kind of, highly personal political attack.
And just to be clear, we're sticking strictly to the facts of what happened and the claims being made, as laid out in the sources we have. No taking sides here.
Absolutely, just the action and the assertions.
Okay, so let's stick with part one, the what's. The installation itself. Trump installs this Walk of Fame wall. Sources suggest it was maybe meant for figures he admired.
Right, that seems to be the setup.
But the key moment, the flashpoint, was this spot, I guess, designated or maybe undesignated for his predecessor, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Instead of the traditional portrait, the painting you'd normally hang, there's this full-sized photograph of an Autopen.
And that visual, that's the anchor, really. It's startling, not just a blank wall, which frankly would be insulting enough,
Right.
but a physical, purposeful swap, a man's image replaced by a mechanical device.
It's quite something. Maybe we should clarify what an Autopen actually is. Because, for a lot of people, it probably just sounds like some obscure office gadget.
Good point. Yeah, simply put, it's a machine. A pretty sophisticated one, designed to replicate a person's signature using a real pen.
Mechanically.
Mechanically, exactly. And often, the result is almost indistinguishable from the person actually signing it. It's used for, high-volume stuff, letters, photos, sometimes even legislation.
To speed things up.
Right, or if the person isn't available. But here's the crucial context. Autopens are not some rare secret device in the White House.
Okay.
If you look back, presidents going back decades, Republicans, Democrats, they've all used them extensively sometimes.
For routine things, mostly.
Often, yeah. Routine documents, big batches of ceremonial letters, sometimes even copies of bills if the president's traveling or maybe recovering from something administratively. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so that really begs the question then, doesn't it? If using an Autopen can be pretty normal, even standard practice sometimes, why did a photo of this particular machine become such a loaded political symbol?
Exactly. How does it go from being just, office equipment to political dynamite?
Yeah.
And the source material is very clear on this. This wasn't just a random quirky choice.
Yep.
The installation, putting that photo up, came after Trump had been publicly asserting something specific.
Which was?
Asserting that Biden had allegedly used an Autopen device to sign key policy documents, not just thank you notes, but important legislation or executive orders.
Ah, okay. So that's the direct link. It takes it from being a neutral tool to, the physical proof backing up an accusation.
Precisely. It becomes the embodiment of that political attack.
Which brings us neatly to part two, the why, the motivation behind it all. Because the sources, they really spell out why that accusation was being made.
Yes, the alleged Autopen use wasn't presented in a vacuum. It was directly tied to claims about Biden's fitness for office, his capacity.
So connecting the dots, the narrative that was being pushed, particularly in the months leading up to this.
Correct. It was about his ability to govern. Specifically, these assertions that he was suffering from a declining cognitive state.
I see. So the implication wasn't just, he used a machine to save time.
Not at all. The implication, the really sharp edge of it was he couldn't physically or mentally sign these vital documents himself. That's the core of the claim.
Wow. Okay, so the photo of the machine, it's more than just an insult. It's like a visual shorthand, isn't it?
Highly targeted shorthand, yeah. It gives a physical form, something you can point to for what was previously maybe just a rhetorical argument about competency.
So when you, as a visitor or staffer, looked at that wall, you were basically being forced to confront the narrative that the machine was doing the president's job because the president couldn't.
or that someone else was effectively making the decision using the machine as cover. It raises all sorts of questions once that seed is planted.
And it weaponizes the very act of documentation, the signature itself. That seems quite specific.
It's very specific. It shifts the battleground from, say, policy disagreements, which are normal, to something incredibly personal. Authenticity, physical capability, mental sharpness.
The whole drama gets condensed into, is that signature real? Is the person behind it fully capable?
That's the nub of it.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Part 3. So what? Let's analyze this purely as an act of political communication. Because, I mean, putting this display up inside the White House, that feels significant.
Oh, the physical space is absolutely critical here. The White House isn't just any building. It's the ultimate symbol of presidential power, history, legitimacy.
Right.
So by installing this Walk of Fame, and that name itself suggests permanence, endorsement Trump wasn't just decorating a hallway. He was effectively sanctioning this display, giving it official weight.
Making the attack feel institutionalized.
In a way, yes. It transforms the verbal claim, the assertion about incapacity, into something tangible, a physical artifact right there in the seat of power. That's a powerful move.
Taking it from words to, well, wood and plaster and a photograph.
It's a masterclass in political symbolism, whether you agree with the message or not. It forces everyone who sees it, journalists, diplomats, future occupants, staff, to confront that image and the narrative it carries.
And it sticks in your mind much more than just another soundbite on the news, I suppose.
Absolutely. A visual like that is incredibly potent and memorable. Think about it. Replacing a presidential portrait.
The icon of legitimacy.
Exactly. Replacing that with a picture of a machine. The portrait says, this person held this office, this is their enduring presence. The Autopen photo screams, the office was technically filled, but the actual person, the substance, was absent, replaced by a mechanism.
So for you listening, why should you care about a wall in a photo? Well, I think this deep dive shows us how physical symbols get used, weaponized, really in top-level politics. It's not just broad attacks anymore. The sources reveal this strategy of being hyper-specific. You focus on a mundane detail, like a signature.
Connect it to a specific technology, the Autopen.
And then use that to fuel the biggest, most damaging accusation you can make in this case, lack of capacity. It compresses this whole complex narrative into one single, really stark visual.
And we should probably acknowledge this tactic works partly because it plays on ambiguity, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, as we said, using an Autopen can be perfectly normal, but the moment someone questions why it was used for a specific important document, doubt creeps in.
Ah, I see. It creates uncertainty about whether the leader was truly involved, personally engaged.
Exactly, and that uncertainty is then exploited to bolster the bigger claim about fitness for office. It's effective because it makes people question things just by focusing attention on the mechanics, the process.
It's maybe the difference between just saying, he's not up to the job, versus showing something and saying, see, he couldn't even sign this himself.
Precisely. The photo provides that tangible evidence, even if the interpretation is contested. It gives the abstract attack a concrete reference point, much stickier than just policy arguments.
And using the term Walk of Fame, that seems like an attempt to frame history within the White House itself in real time.
That's another layer, yes. The sources suggest this wasn't just about erasing or ignoring Biden, but actively defining his presidency through this one negative lens, cementing this narrative of, well, mechanical or proxy governance, not personal leadership.
So wrapping up our deep dive today, we've looked closely at this specific incident from September 25th, 2025, the White House Walk of Fame, that very deliberate Autopen photo substitution.
And the claims linking it to the signing of key policy documents, all framed by these assertions about the president's cognitive state.
Right.
You know, knowledge is always more useful when you see the context, the connections. And here we've seen how political figures can really take physical spaces, places normally for history and respect, and turn them into tools for symbolic battle.
The key takeaway being that symbols are powerful and rarely neutral. They're chosen and used for specific effects.
Absolutely. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. In our current age where, let's face it, digital signatures are common, physical signatures are maybe becoming more administrator anyway, what real political power does the idea of a leader's authentic hand-signed signature still hold.
Interesting.
And when the authenticity of that very signature becomes a political weapon, like in this case,
Hmm.
what does that do to public trust? Not just in the leader, but in the official documents themselves. What other symbols are being crafted right now, maybe less obviously, to send a political message?